12 years ago, the body of Tracy McClelland, a mother in Tampa, was found buried in a shallow grave. Her murder still shrouded in mystery, but tonight, News Channel 8 takes a closer look.
Streaming live on WFLA Now.
March 6, 2007, the body of Tracy McClelland is discovered in a shallow grave in the back of this parking lot off of North 71st Street in Tampa. She'd been missing for nearly a month.
They said somewhere between Valentine's Day and March 6th.
Tracy's sister says she was popular in high school and had been going to USF, nearly completing a degree in teaching with the goal to teach children with disabilities.
Tracy was very active in high school. She was dual enrolled.
But Tracy had trouble too. After the suicide of her brother, she began taking prescription drugs to deal with the pain. Her life spiraled out of control.
And then when the prescription drugs didn't do enough, she went to street drugs.
Tracy's killer has never been found. Now her family hopes for answers.
Her last hours, the last days. Who murdered my sister?
I'm Jeff Patterson. We'll tell you what Tampa police are now doing to solve this case. Tell you what they're hoping for to bring closure to Tracy's family. Watch my special report, Unsolved, tonight at 6 on News Channel 8.
And everybody, we're being joined by News Channel 8's Jeff Patterson. We are about an hour away from that report airing here on News Channel 8. Jeff, you've been working on this story for some time. When it comes to the murder of Tracy McClelland 12 years ago, there's still so much unknown, and her murderer could be out there.
Most definitely, and there's somebody out there who knows who that person is. Undoubtedly, they've talked about it. They've talked about it with their friends, perhaps family. And so the Tampa Police Department just needs one person to come forward with information to help close the loop on this case and bring her killer to justice.
What are the circumstances, Jeff, surrounding her disappearance and then subsequent murder?
Really a sad story if you look at it from all different angles. She was popular in high school. She went to high school here in Florida, but outside of the Bay Area, enormously popular and did well in high school. She was going to USF. She was about a semester away from getting a degree as a teacher. She wanted to teach disadvantaged or underprivileged children, and so she had a lot of goals. She had a lot of ambition, but her brother committed suicide, and she went into a deep depression. Her family believes she's one of the early victims of the opioid crisis because she started taking prescription medication, then she started taking self-medicating, if you will, and then she fell off into a really deep, dark place and did some things that her family, frankly, isn't proud of in terms of her addiction and the way she handled that and everything. But she did have 3 children. They're now adults. And she had, on some levels, a successful life, but she would fall off with her addiction and the problems that she had as a result of that. Her body was eventually found in a shallow grave off of 71st Street. She had been missing for maybe a month or more, and there was no sign of her. Her family thought it was just one of those times that she was battling her demons of addiction, and so they had not had any contact with her. Then there's a business that's there at 71st Street. At the time, it was a street sweeping business. Employees began to notice something in the back of the parking lot. That's when they discovered the shallow grave with her body. Homicide detectives come in. They brought in everybody. Just about everybody from the Tampa Police Department, Homicide Department, was there investigating. They did soil samples, everything, trying to pull together all of the physical evidence from this crime. The only thing right now that they'll tell us is that she died of an upper body trauma. Not releasing a lot of facts because certainly the killer knows how she died, and they're trying to keep that close to the vest to protect the integrity of the investigation, and we respect that. But the Tampa Police Department says somebody out there knows, and so they're hoping that somebody can come forward and identify Tracy McClelland's killer.
Yeah, we have somebody here in the Facebook Live comment section saying that I knew her. She's saying, this is so sad of a story, what happened to her. So it's Tampa Police, right, Jeff, that's been handling this case?
From the very, very beginning, Tampa Police Department has been handling this case, and they still are working on it. And interesting thing that the detective in this case, who's now in charge of it, told me he was just brand new to the homicide squad. Went out there to handle the initial investigation, and now this case sits with him as a cold case, if you will. And because of our interest in the case, frankly, he's taking a fresh look at this. He's going back, going through all of the original file work there, all the original casework to see, where do you go from here? Certainly there's advancements in DNA technology. A lot of cases across the country have been solved as a result of changes in DNA technology. And since they did forensically go through that crime scene when her body was found so thoroughly, there may be something there. And so they're going to take a fresh look at all of that and try to bring closure to this case for her family.
And one of the big things about any cold case is also just, again, shedding light on the story even more than a decade later after the body was found. And we're 12 years out here from Tracy McClellan's body being found in that shallow grave. But, again, airing reports on her, on the murder, and maybe hoping that if somebody remembers something 12 years later, somebody could come forward with new information.
If you listen to our story at 6 o'clock coming up in just a short time, you'll be able to hear from Tracy's mother, from her sister, and see the heartbreaking grief that they're still going through as a result of her loss of life. They frankly admit that she had problems. She had been through some very difficult times because of the suicide of her brother and everything that followed as a result of that. So this is one of those cases that isn't neat and pretty, and sometimes murders aren't. Obviously, there's a lot of different factors that come in with a lot of different homicide cases. This is one of those cases that has a lot of twists and turns and some, frankly, unfortunate facts as a part of it. But it doesn't mean that this case doesn't deserve the full time and attention of everyone. It doesn't mean that her family doesn't deserve closure.
All right, everybody. Well, we are less than an hour away from that special report. Shallow Grave, part of the Unsolved series here on 8 on Your Side Investigates. News Channel 8's Jeff Patterson behind this report, and you can read more on this story coming up on WFLA.com in the next hour. But join us for, again, this special report, 8 on Your Side Investigates Unsolved. Shallow Grave, the story and murder of Tracy McClellan, the mother here in Tampa, found buried in a shallow grave 12 years ago. Jeff, thanks so much for your time. We're really looking forward to the report. And everybody, we'll see you coming up on News Channel 8 at 6 o'clock. Take care.